Hello, everyone, and welcome to another weekly show here on SkaredCast. I'm Skari, your grateful host, and this is the show I do usually every week for patrons that support the channel. The Denizen community is the lifeblood of what I do and allows me to do this. So thank you so much for hanging out. It is a show where I go over questions, I talk about Warhammer or just things that happen in the hobby. And every once in a while, I open the show up to the public, like this one. And then we break down army lists and talk meta and a variety of different things. And I'm really excited to have you all here. Thank you so much for hanging out. Of course, if you didn't know, I am Skari. Currently top 20 in the world of Warhammer 40k. That's right. I think I'm still top 20. I would hope so. But hello, everybody, for coming to hang out. Leave a comment, like the video if you haven't already. And let's dive right in. I just finished my wonderful walk to go get a wonderful Tim Hortons tea because I ran out of coffee upstairs, and that made me sad. But I still #1 Drukhari. Yeah. I am definitely, I hope that I am. But man, so much stuff to talk about. I did have a crazy 5 weeks, but thank you so much for coming to hang out, everybody, and we're just going to chat, we're going to talk Warhammer. Usually the show goes with me rambling for about 5 to 10 minutes about what happened to me in my week. And then I answer the Patron questions, which, you know, I actually forgot to put this up early enough, so it was only up for a few hours. In the Discord. And then, of course, the list crunch, which is me talking about lists and giving you some food for thought. We are in like a new time, a new meta, which is a great time for us to sort of like discuss army lists and strategies and lists and a variety of different things. And I'm just excited. Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. So what has Skari been up to? Well, I am practicing a lot for the World Team Championship. So, in the behind the scenes, a lot of that stuff is, of course, behind closed doors and doesn't really get broadcast or recorded or talked about. But we're doing a lot of practicing. Team Canada is at the World Team Championship in Leoben in August, which is only, man, oh man, how many weeks is that from now? We've got 1 week, 2 weeks. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's too close. It's too close. It's like 6 weeks away. That is insane. But we're practicing really hard. We have a practice weekend coming up. The team, of course, has been selected for a while now. I'm very honored to be part of the Canadian National 40K team again. I did sign up for the War Masters event, which is going to be interesting because it's a lot of Warhammer in a week, you know, a bunch of rounds of singles and then teams. However, I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm also going to Tacoma, which I'll be there in 3 weeks, and I'm really excited about that. So that's super fun. I'm just, all in all, playing lots and lots of Warhammer. The goal of being #1 in the ITC continues, and I'm very excited. Thank you so much, DS, for the super chat. That means a lot. Oh, thank you. Let's see. What did you say? May your paint water taste better than mine did last night. Cheers. I actually switched out my paint water recently, and it's now cleanish paint water because it was getting pretty gross. Hello, Zenth. What's going on? And Harvey and Fanatical and Jason and Brent. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. And Sia, Nur, hi, hello, welcome all. Thanks for hanging out with me on a Friday morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just to date this video, right? Just to date it, just make sure that we all know what's going on. Hello, Goober, what's going on? Danish, morning, Skari, excited to be here on a Friday. That's amazing. Friday is really fun, so, you know, it's how it is. Okay, so I have been having a lot of fun filming. The last 4 weeks, I've been doing like 3 days a week at Mini Wargaming, and we've been filming mainly a Gorkamorka campaign, which is an old Games Workshop game where you're orcs on a planet, and you're trying to gather up a bunch of scrap to build a ship to get off the planet. And so you have like a mob, and you run like a knob and a mob, and you just build up your little crew of dudes or like orcs and grots and stuff, and you have a truck and bikes, and you're like just kind of going around the wastes and trying to pick up all scrap and stuff so you can build this ship. And that was really fun. We had our season finale for our campaign on this Monday. We filmed it. No, Tuesday. We filmed it on Tuesday, and then I filmed 2 more games. And in the meantime, I've had such a fun time building tables at night, because I live in like north of Toronto, and mini wargaming is about 2.5 hours away without traffic. And then I go through traffic, and it's like 3 hours or 4 hours because Toronto sucks. But I stay over. They put me up in the like mini wargaming hotel for a couple of nights a week, and so I finish filming at like 5, and then I have like either I'm filming a bat rep, or I'm doing practice games, or I'm doing coaching calls, right? But a lot of the times I'll end up spending the evening like either organizing the shelves or building a table for my game next day. And this week, I will say, I built some banger tables. Okay, I built a really cool table that was like a seaside fortress ruin jungle thing, which was really cool, with like the ocean, a little lagoon, and the mats look really cool. And then I built like a floating island pirate base with like gantries and platforms everywhere. That was super fun. I had lots of fun building them, playing on them, and then putting them away. Going crazy prepping for my RTT in July, says Zenth. Too much to finish painting. I know, it's crazy. Orc games always sound fun as heck. I will say, Gorkamorka, one of those original zany Games Workshop games where like you can't really plan anything. Everything is very weird and strange, and then you have to like roll to see what happens. And when you roll to see what happens, then something else happens, and it cascades, and then your models end up facing in the wrong direction with dudes flung out from the vehicle in different directions, and they get run over and spit out the back of the vehicle. Like there's just so many funny zany things that happen. Or like one of your boys will get injured, so you take him to the doctor, and he replaces his brain with a frag grenade. Wait, puts a frag grenade in his head. Oh my gosh, there's just so much stupid stuff. Like that actually happened. No spoilers, but like, and then if you fight the person with the grenade in their head, like it has a chance to like blow it up during the combat. Oh, it's just so stupid. I love it. I have a teams event this weekend. Looking forward to good times. Nice. Yeah, team events are really fun. But all in all, I've been practicing a lot. I've been playing a lot of Warhammer. I'm really enjoying the new missions, like the chapter proof missions are really fun. Like there's I don't know, we had who was it on the Discord had said talk a little bit about something in the suggestions. Said, all right, talk a little bit about the challenger cards, not if they should be used because they really, etc. What are the various challenger cards? So I'll be doing like I really like that Mark of Corn suggested this. I'll be doing like a little video on like the new missions, I think. Now that I have thanks to the Red Dragon, a laptop that I can carry around is really nice. So I'll probably end up having some time to sit down and record some stuff even when I'm traveling. So then I can get some things for all of you to enjoy, right? And then just edit it on the fly and just put it up and stuff, which will be really useful as well. Mr. Prankster, I sent you a DM on Discord, and you never answered me back. But I was really hoping to borrow some of those old Dark Eldar models, because I did see your comment on that video. So I really want to get my hands on some of those old like Mandrakes and Grotesques mainly, so I can run them in the 4th edition, 3rd edition games that we've been running. Yeah, yep. What's the most orky? That's the most orky thing I've heard. I know, it's insane. Absolutely insane. Okay, let's dive into some of these Q&As. Now, patrons get to ask questions. There's a thread in the Discord, and I put it up every time there's going to be a show. There should be a show next week, episode 31 of season 3 of the weekly show. It's 3 seasons of doing the weekly show. Well, it used to be 2 different shows, conglomerated into one show, which is just as juicy and as meaty Yummy. And you know, fit for your brain holes. Hey, me fastest. Nice. Popping in, say hi. Back to tending the family. Happy Canada long weekend. I know, long weekend. Canada Day is next week, which I'm really excited about. It'll be super fun. Old Grotesques, Incubi. Yeah, also Prankster. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not sure why my name isn't Foz. Oh. Well, hello, Foz. I don't know why your name isn't Foz either. It's odd. It's odd. It's odd. Okay, let's dive into the Q&A. Baz asks, yeah, names are crazy today. There's just names. I have no idea why. It's kind of weird that all the names are just like that. It's weird. Who knows? Is there any play in running an essentially all Dark Eldar Ynnari list? I will post a draft in the list crunch, but wondering if the increased point cost on lack of pain tokens is worth the Aeldari rules, especially the extra movement. Like, if you wanted to play Old Dark Eldar, you know, do you want to play them in Ynnari? Like, the only reason I would play them in Ynnari is if I want to run something that is Eldar with my Dark Eldar. So, like, I'd be like, I really want Shining Spears or whatever. I really want Swooping Hulks. I really want Fire Dragons. You know, at the end of the day, I think if you're just going to run old Dark Eldar units, you're better off just running them as Dark Eldar, because then you have more to choose from. Mandrakes and Scourges and, you know, all the Coven stuff as well. So I feel like there is play in it, but for fun. You know what I mean? If you just want to do a theme list. Like, could I run it for fun? Yeah. Could I do well with it? Yes. Sure. I would have fun being like, you know what, let's do this. And then have all the elf rules there as well. But at the end of the day, if I just want to play Dark Eldar, play Dark Eldar. Hey, Chris, what's going on? America Day is next week too. America. That's right. The names are, yeah, we're looking. Going to a GT in 2 weeks, any Imperial Knight list that you would take? Well, Chris, that I would take? I don't know. You know, there's lots of different Knight lists going through the meat grinder right now, people trying things out and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The extra movement, for example, Baz is really good. The ignore Overwatch is really good. Like, of course, you still have the reactive move if you wanted to do, you know, if the lethal intent, which has changed, and, you know, things like that. So it's not necessarily bad, you know, but like I'd probably run like War Walkers because I really love War Walkers, and I'd run maybe a Wraith Lord or two, and I'd run some bikes, and I don't know, I'd make it like theme, but it would, if I played Ynnari, I'd take advantage of the elf stuff as well, personally. I'm looking forward to seeing your list in the list crunch. Hit the button. Thanks, Prankster. That like button does help the video get noticed, especially these live streams, because the algorithm's like, what is Skari trying to do with live streams? Do you think double Lancers and Chaos Knights are good? I think Lancers are good in general. Double or triple Lancer, I think, is like for quadruple Lancer. The fact that you get like free tank shock every time is so silly with a Lancer, and you can do it multiple times, and they're so cheap, and they're fast, and they're one of the only knights that has an invul in close combat. Like, I think there's some play there. They still don't like Haywire, though. Haywire. Bamboo and Brains asks, good morning, Skari. Good morning. Do you have any advice in regards to learning more armies while simultaneously staying on top of your main one? I'm still playing mostly Drukhari, but would like to learn Emperor's Children as a backup choice. However, I don't know how to approach learning Emperor's Children while working on my performance with Drukhari for RTTs and GTs. Ideally, I'd like to be at a point where I could pick between 2 to 3 armies for an event. That's a great question, Bamboo and Brains. So, a lot of the times, well, not a lot of the times, one of the most important things you can do when learning how to play an army competitively is learn the army. I know, it sounds very redundant. However, if you become an expert in your faction and no one can correct what you're doing and no one can correct your rules, your stratagems, your abilities, your stats, that's a good thing. It allows you to have that sort of foundation where you're an expert on the faction that you're playing. And it gives you the confidence to be able to sort of like, worry about other things that are not, is this strength 5 or 6 or is it AP 2 or 3, right? Like if you have to constantly be looking for that information because your opponent's asking you these questions and you don't know, it can detract from like your brain's going to be in a couple of different places. So bamboo and brains, that's a great question. I'll tell you what I do. I like to play narrative games with something that I'm learning, or games that don't really matter, or a crusade, where I can sort of like learn the units in a more relaxed environment without having to worry about performance with them. It allows me to build, collect, paint, and play with units that I think are cool or, a different faction without having sort of like the stress of needing to know what that faction does. And it helps me separate and compartmentalize the two. At the end of the day as well, playing smaller games with a faction you're learning is very important, not just straight to match play 2,000 points, but play 1,000-point games or 1,500 or, play games like just little ones. And like that, they're faster, they're not as much of a time constraint, and they're not as stressful. So you can kind of just learn mechanics or learn different things. As for your main one, switch it up every once in a while with the new one that you're playing. But, once you really know what you're doing with one faction or detachment, like it's very easy to kind of jump back on it, even if you take a week off or 2 weeks off to play something else, right? And then you can come right back to just riding the bicycle, which is kind of how it feels. And other than that, bamboo and brains, that should give you some wiggle room, some leeway with it as well as you sort of like work towards generating that faction core that you can kind of draw from when you're playing your games. The drum beat is the algorithm. Oh, prankster, thanks so much. I miss. You get a cookie. Thank you. I just started playing 6 months ago with Chaos Knights, and I forget all the stats as soon as I start a match. It's like I'm immediately battle shocked when I start the match. Yeah, it takes time to learn your stats, but I highly recommend that you learn your stats and that you learn your strats and you learn your detachment rules. You need to become an expert in what you're playing, so your opponent doesn't correct you, right? And if you can do that, that's like one of the main steps to playing a faction very well. You just know what the faction does, right? Talking about small opponent games, I've been struggling to put together a good crusade list for Drukhari. I feel like 1,000 points isn't enough to work with all the answers I'd need. Then what you should do is use some of those requisition points to make a 1,400 point list. Add in some of those extra things, and then based on the game to game or the mission or whatever, just build the list from that. Build a 1,000 point list from a 1,400 point roster. That's how that works, a goober. Okay, moving on. Dr. Nick says, how important is it to track the meta for things like tournament prep, etc.? Is it something you actively do and research to play, or is it more important in your eyes to play your own game and adapt as needed? So one of my key philosophical mantras is I create the meta. Which, to be honest, can be all of you. I create the meta, but so can all of you. I don't follow the meta, whatever. I build my list, I play my list, and yes, every once in a while, if people like bringing a bunch of knights, maybe I'll bring some haywire or whatever. But it's like, I do keep track of the meta. Like, I keep track of factions and stuff. But there's a couple of things. Void Raven Tax is proof of that, says Harvey. I know, right? Good morning, Cheese Bowl. I'll get to your note in a second. So it's the thing about it, Dr. Nick, okay, is I keep track of the meta, but I don't let the meta totally influence what I'm doing. And oh man, like watching people fret I guess is a nice way of putting it, fret or spiral because of the meta is like I don't understand it. I don't care. I really don't care. I just like if something is strong, it's gonna be strong. Whoop-de frickin' do. I mean, whatever. And if you're good at what you play, like you just put your head down and you just play the gosh darn game. Okay? Play the game. Try win the mission. Like if you practice against the new meta stuff, you might lose 4 or 5 times. And then eventually, the whole point is to be adaptable and flexible and using the tools you have available to sort of like try and solve the problem instead of looking at the problem and then changing. Like, yes, there's two solutions. Like, one is like, change the tool that you need to deal with the problem. So don't look at every problem as a nail and use a hammer or whatever. Like, switch the tool from a Phillips to a flat head screwdriver to whatever, to an Allen key. I don't know. I'm using a weird analogy here, but in terms of me, like I can switch the tool, so my list can turn into the tool I need, if that makes sense, instead of me changing the brand of tool, right? Anyway, I feel that was a pretty good analogy for the meta. Because we're all screwed anyway. Yeah, excellent. Puns. Okay. Good morning. Recently played a 1,000 point game against the new Space Wolves as Drukhari. I found myself not really having an answer for the Thunderwolf cavalry. What do you do against mounted units? I shoot them with Dark Lances usually. Dark Lances are, in the case of Thunderwolf cavalry, like Incubi are pretty good because they're 2 damage each. And Thunderwolves only have 4 wounds, right? So that's usually how that works. But yeah, so yeah, like it's the thing is even me, I play so many games of Warhammer. Competitive, not competitive, practice games, tournament games, friendly games, narrative games, crusade matches. Like I play the hobby, right? And even when something is at the height of its power, like even when something is like the thing that everybody's bringing, I don't always play against it very often, even with the amount of times I play. So, like, all that stress of like worrying about it doesn't end up mattering because I have rarely run it. Like, once in a while, I run into like the meta thing, and I'm like, oh man, that was a bad time to play into the meta thing the first time in the middle of a tournament. And I'm like, well, I learned my lesson. But I play against it like once, and then it gets like eroded or nerfed, right? And then the next time I go, it's like it's not as bad as the last time I played against it, so it'll be fine. Other times like Daka Orcs, for example, I played against it twice on stream, and I basically just said I had publicly made a statement being like, to beat Daka Orcs, you have to play like an elf. And I meant that, and I proved that multiple times against Daka Orcs. I just played like an elf and hid like a coward and won both games at full height power. When it was the Adeptus Mechanicus 9th edition table people or Daka, like Freebooter Orcs table people, I had a very clear plan on how to win those games. To the point where at the Stutter Snotling event, which was 2021 or 2022, like right after the pandemic, like it was a break in like the quarantines. We had this event, and I went down, and I played against AdMech, and I literally was like, I deployed, I won the roll to go first, and what I did was, your turn. Like I didn't even move. I didn't move out in the open. Nothing. I just passed the turn to my opponent because I was like, I'm not going to go into the open, and I won that game. You know what I mean? And he was playing the crazy 20 strong, like bricks of Adeptus Mechanicus dudes that like re-rolled hits and whatever, and they were like and the planes, and like he was doing the whole shebang. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is you're rarely going to run into them even at events, and B, like you might play them once or twice, you might lose. Whoop-de-frickin-do. And then next time, it'll be nerfed. Whatever. Anyway. You mean we shouldn't be constantly changing our lists for competitive play? Says Dustin Henshaw. Hey, Dustin. Aw, much love, Dustin. You know, you and I. We vibe, bro. We vibe on a different level. Losers focus on winners. Winners focus on winning. Something I heard a while watching Formula One. Yeah, like, that's the kind of mentality that's important, you know? Like, you don't, like, I don't go to a game, I never go to a game and look at it and go, I'm gonna lose this game. Like, why? Why would I? Why? What the hell is the point? And I hear it all the time. People go, ah, crap. I don't want to play against that. You know, whatever. Who the heck cares? Just play the game. Any game can be won or lost. Don't focus on what others are doing. If you know your army through and through, you focus on what you're doing. True words, Mr. Tuttle. Why no Harlequins in your Reaper's wager list? Because I don't like clowns. Okay? Psh, boo clowns. It's a combination of things. I have been testing a few different iterations without clowns, with clowns. Like my latest Reaper's wager list had a clown, a Death Jester. And he was laughing at me the whole time because he's like, I suck. And then just giggling the entire time. He's like, look at me suck so hard. I'm like, oh my God, I should have spent these points on something else. Then again, never plays well in tournaments. So what do I know? Look, it's about mentality, Tuttle. And so, like, that's the thing. And Brant says this perfectly when we start any event. You know, only one person at a 250 person event is going to go undefeated, right? Like, one person might go undefeated depending on how the brackets work. One person. Everybody else is a loser. So get used to being a loser. It doesn't matter if you lose one game, if you lose 6 games, 7 games, whatever. We're all losers, right? And what's the percentile of the one undefeated player? 250 players, one undefeated player is like 0.5%, 0.45% or something of the entire player base. Like, you know, like, just you're gonna lose some games. Who cares? Okay. Harvey says, play your games with I'm going to make X number of new friends and roll dice and laugh. You know, and that's the spirit. Like, now I go to events and I see all these people that I see all the time. It's like you go and you hang out and you meet them and you see them and you touch base, and it's a lot more than just rolling dice. It's a community building time. It's like that socializing, that shooting the shit, that going out for dinner, that like just bouncing ideas off and soaking in all the cool hobby ideas and stuff that people are doing. It's really, really cool, right? So you also learn more from losing than you do from stomping all the time. Oh, 100%. You know, I have a coaching client that is in New Zealand, and their goal was to be the #1 Drukhari player in New Zealand, and they are now the #1. Like, I can comfortably say they're the #1 Drukhari player in New Zealand right now. And they went to a team tournament recently where, in our last sort of breakdown, they were saying how they would walk up to the table and their opponent was very confident, like 3 out of the 5 rounds, that this was a good matchup for them. The Drukhari were just going to get stomped. And they got smashed by Drukhari, like just utterly destroyed. And they were like taken aback by it. And it's because if you play the faction well and you know what you're doing, and you have that confidence and you don't really care about dice rolls, but you play good Warhammer, like you just apply good Warhammer skills. And the skill level of your army is like, okay, but it's a vessel for you to sort of like shine. And it doesn't matter what faction it is. Just play good Warhammer. I know there are legends now, but how would you use the Tantalus to good effect? I thought having them loaded with Cabalites to make use of stacked firing deck and pain tokens. Do you use them? I use them all the time. Yeah, I own 2 of them. Thanks, Dustin. Much love. Archon Sepsis. Right now I use them in Crusade mainly. There's a variety of ways I use them. I tend to use them with like 5 Cabalites inside to go sticky objectives or something. Like just... I don't necessarily use them as a transport very often. The one time I use them as a big transport is like a Court of the Archon. Big court, 10 Cabalites, the big court, the Archon. It's like all 15 of them inside, and just run as a big mega boat, you know. Ricky Bobby always says, if you ain't first, you're lost. Well, good old Ricky Bobby. So that is also true. Yep. Drashel says, hi, Scarring chat. Hope everybody's doing well. Being struggling with Dark Eldar versus Guard, mainly Dorns. Any tips for the Guard matchup? I played into a Guard army at Edmonton, which had like 13 tanks and like 7 Lehman Russes, and it was and artillery and the whole and hellhounds and stuff. It was the whole thing. Yes, don't just stand in the open, and try and use your haywire effectively, and yeah, just stay hidden. Use your angles effectively. Try and move block them as best you can. They can't go through beast packs. They can't go through walls. So just like, unless they have the walls thing, which is a whole other thing. But I don't think they can go through models. So use screens to pin them. Stop them from going where they want to get angles. Use your haywire effectively and kill the indirect if you can. Like, go out of your way to kill the mortars and to like go out of your way to kill that stuff. And then use Lilith to kill all the infantry, because she'll just go around. She'll kill like a 20 Deathcore Krieg or Cadian Brick with 5 witches by herself. Like, she'll just kill them all literally by herself. She is insane into like big infantry bricks like that. Try the Shadow Seer. Consider the hazards check for his termites, wraiths, multiple wound models, destroyed when failed, infiltration with a troop. Well, hazardous is now only 3 mortal wounds now. It's not completely destroyed, I believe. It's just everybody takes 3 mortals. So you can take feel no pains and stuff for it. It used to be destroyed, but that switched recently as well. Okay. Moving on to the second part of the show is the list crunch. So the list crunch is an opportunity for Scourge, Trueborn, and Incubi level patrons to submit an army list for like an army list clinic. Every time I do the show, I'll read the list. If they have any questions, I'll address the questions. But it's an opportunity for supporting patrons to get some food for thought from my mega brain, which I guess has been active in the hobby for almost 30 years. That's right, kids. I've been playing longer than you have been alive, and I have models that I painted when I was 12, and you were not even a thought in your parents' minds. I love flexing with that. It's so cool. I have my old Android Crusader, which still has the old metal sponsons, like the Hurricane pattern, like the metal Hurricane sponsons, the metal multi-melta, the metal assault cannon. And that's my old Android Crusader, and he's still going strong to this day. To this day. Ah, so cool. Now, if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat. Don't forget to like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and check the links down below to head over to the Patreon. Hop onto the Discord, which is free to hop onto. Of course, patrons get all the cool perks and stuff as well. Okay. I started in 3rd with that Marines versus Drukhari starter set. Me too! I started in 3rd. And then, fun story. I like to say the story a lot. But I painted all the Marines in the box like Black Templars. I painted the Dark Eldar like Dark Eldar. My brother and I quickly found out that the Dark Eldar were very unevenly matched in that box set. So instead of playing you take the Dark Eldar, I take the Marines, we started doing we split the Marines. So I'd get, I think it was like 5 Marines or something, or 10, was it 10 Marines? Anyway, I don't remember. But we'd split it up, be like, okay, you get 5 Marines, I get 5 Marines. And then I get the land speeder, but you get the rocket launcher. And then, or none of us would get the land speeder. And then I asked my mom, because I got, cool story. Hold on one second. Oh, my goodness gracious. What the heck, man? Did I just break this? No, I didn't. Okay. Good. Hold on one second. I'm back. Okay. Story time. So we walked into like this model train shop when I was like 12, and we found, see, it says Ángeles de Muerte, so it's in Spanish because we were in Mexico, right? And this is the original Blood Angel and Dark Angel Codex from 2nd edition. Okay, this is the 2nd edition codex, right? And so we were like, oh, cool, right? We didn't know that there was such things as editions, but we could clearly see that this rule set wasn't really compatible with the 3rd edition book. We're like, okay, what is this? Like, none of these stats make sense. You know, like, what are all these, like, crazy rules and war gear cards and stuff like that, okay? And so then we went back to the store, and I was like, ooh, chaos, right? And it's like, ooh, look at this. Like, look at this. This is, like, the original 2nd edition. Smells like 30 years. Right? Oh, yeah, look at that. Just demons. And so this is the coolest stuff. So, like, cool, like, artwork like this. As I'm a 12-year-old, I'm like, this is awesome, right? And there was always this one, right? So a couple of things just stood out to me, which was, where is it? This one? No, not that one. Slaves to Darkness. There's like a, oh my goodness. There's like a, there's a Great Unclean One artwork in here that I always would like look at and be like, ugh, you know, just was always like, just so gross. Was it in here? I don't know if it was in here. Anyway, and so not only was that, but I absolutely loved the look of Chaos Terminators. Like, Chaos Terminators were the coolest thing. The coolest thing. The Chaos, the Dreadnought, everything. And this guy right here, this model right there, that converted Terminator Chaplain, Terminator, was the model that made me go, I want to play Chaos. Literally, that and like I was like, I want to play Chaos. I absolutely loved like, I loved the aesthetic. I was like, this is so cool. They're all like converted and have spikes. And so my mom went to England and I was like, Mom, bring me, oh, this one right here. Yeah, that one. Oh, that's such a cool. I always used to like look at this. And I was like, ugh, this is so gross. But it's like a really cool, Great Unclean One, like, artwork. Anyway, so freaking cool. Anyway, I was like, Mom, I need you to get me some Chaos Terminators because I want to play Chaos. Where is our Discord link? Mad, you have to go to the Patron page, and then go to collections, and then in collections there is a thread that says calling all rogue traders. And that is the Discord link. And you basically fill in the captcha. And if you want to just join for free, you join as a rogue trader, because it's the Dark City, of course. So you come in as a rogue trader, and we'll do trade with you. Okay? And if you want to join one of the tiers, that's up to you. And then you get access to, like, cool stuff like this and whatnot as well. Okay. But she brought back a box of Marine Terminators. Because little did I know that Chaos Terminators were only available in blister packs, so I didn't know that they were, like, individually sold. So I said, get me a box of Terminators, and she got me a box of Space Marine Terminators, which then ended up being my Black Templar Terminators, because I already had the Black Templar Marines, and because I was 12 and didn't have any money, I guess I was playing Black Templars. And then I had a friend of mine that wanted to give away, like, all of his Space Marines, because he had, like, just a case full of metal Space Marines, like Devastators and Sergeants and stuff, and he's like, he doesn't use it. He's like, here, have this. And I was like, amazing. So then I expanded my collection like that until I started Dark Eldar in 2005? No, 2007. I think I started Dark Eldar in like 2007. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, yeah, that was the free model like 2 years ago. I had no idea he was a callback to 2nd edition. Oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there. Okay, let's dive into this before I get more distracted. It says, Potatogram. Hey, Scary. Hello, Potato. Trying to get this Awakened Dynasty list to work. So I'm running the usual big units of warriors and supports, but struggling to work out the scoring and damage. I'll be taking it to a singles event in September and a teams event in November. So something to note is when you're building a different list for teams, it can be different than a list for singles, because you can sort of avoid the matchups that you require some of the toolkit items for. Necrons themselves are quite a stable faction, so the same list can do very well in singles as it can do in teams. So you're a little bit you've got a little bit of leeway that way. Now, for anybody who's curious, we call it list crunch because all of this information is like a wonderful bowl of cereal, and we call it list crunch O's. You know, it's a fantastic part of a balanced competitive diet. So list crunchos is how you should start your competitive diet every weekend. A nice, delicious bowl of list crunchos. Anyway, Awakened Dynasty, you've got 30 points left over, it seems. Cool. So you've got Command Barge, Hexmark, Destroyer, with the Veil, just a deep, little, I actually like this toolkit. This is a nice little piece of kit here. Illuminor, Imhotech, Warden, Scorpec Lord with the Dermal Bond, Technomancer. 20 Warriors with Reapers. And you got the Nether Realm, so the Stealth. Ghost Ark. Reanimator, 6 Race, 2 Thralls, DDA, Flayed Ones, and 3 Scorpex. Okay. So, if you're doing Awakened, I do like the Big Brick of Warriors, I like the race. The thing is, you're not running any sort of, like, defense buffs on the Big Brick of Warriors. Like, I guess, like, you put the Technomancer in the Wraiths, and the Crypto Thralls in the Wraiths. That's amazing. I really like the Wraith Brick. I think that Wraith Brick is amazing. I think that one stays pretty much in everything. I love the Scorpeg Lord with the Dermal Bond. He's very good. As well. I really like him. Then we've got Stormlord. He's pretty standard. Like, the thing about him is I usually just have him on his own on the back objective. And then, so it means that you kind of need another character to go with the, because you got the Warden to run in with the Warriors. Like, would recommend that you put either a, like, some sort of, like, a Technomancer in there as well, just to give him the 5 of Feel No Pain. So, but where do you get those points for that is the big thing. You also don't have a Ghost Ark, and I feel like, oh, you do have a Ghost Ark. Never mind. I'll eat my words. Just shut up, Scary. So I would like to see some of this. Like, I don't think you need the Scorpic Destroyers, as an example. Like, the Scorpic Destroyers are cute. People use them for the counter charge. But in this style of list, I don't think you need them because you don't have the second Scorpec Lord. So a lot of people have that second Scorpec Lord. And I think you need to make sure that that warrior unit has a bit more survivability. So I would try and find a way to put Crypto Thralls in there and say a 5 of Feel No Pain. Or Orkan the Diviner for the 4-up Invul save and Crypto Thralls. So you're looking at potentially the Flayed Ones and the Scorpec Destroyers being where you find those points. And that's sort of like, I'd kind of double down on what the list is trying to do. That's like my initial thought process. You have enough sort of play pieces in like the Reanimator can do actions. You've got the DDAs are great for holding objectives. I think you only need one DDA just to like keep people honest to the open bits of the table, especially if you're just doing Awakened, which tackles the tackles the center of the board very effectively, and I think you can use those points more effectively. Another option is like, you know, don't go for any warriors, and then take the warriors out, and then potentially put in like a Catan, like Nightbringer or Deceiver. I love the Deceiver, by the way. He's incredible. I love the extra objective control. The redeploy is really strong, and he's stealth, which makes him like really annoying to get rid of. So, like, just little things like that. Like, that's where I would kind of find some extra points in there as well. Hello, Dorian. What's going on? Should have put in a list, but this week was busy. No problem, Dorian. Looking forward to seeing what you cook up, especially with the that burrowing Tyrannid list, which is... I love that burrowing Tyrannid detachment. It's so good. But I hope that gives you some food for thought, Potato. You know, that's kind of where my head goes when I go to Necrons. And it's either like you're playing the mission or you're trying to do damage. So if you're going to try and do like damage, aggression, then you go more of that Star Shatter build, which is like Race, and then Catan, and then like I love a Transcendent Catan in almost every Necron list, just to have that teleporting, to just be like, I'm gonna teleport a Catan over here, and you're like, oh, well, now I gotta deal with this, right? That's the kind of thing that's really useful. So, Archimade says, followed your advice about investing in a Void Bomber and started to instantly win games. I just give a negative point to Games Workshop for making me wait 2 months because it was out of stock. Well, I'm really glad that you decided to go for the Bomber. Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to the next edition, I have a sinking feeling that they're just gonna like take aircraft away from everyone. They're gonna be like, aircraft don't really work in this game. If you want to play aircraft, go play Aeronautica Imperialis or whatever, which is a shame because a lot of those kits are really nice, but it would clean up gameplay quite a lot, and they wouldn't have to think about it in like, multiple dimensions or try and make rules for aircraft. They are very awkward to play. You know what I mean? So like it's just clunky. But the Void Raven Bomber is awesome. There is a list that I've built, which is 4 aircraft, so 2 Void Raven Bombers and 2 Razorwing Jet Fighters in Reaper's Wager, and I really want to try it at least once. Probably take it to like an RTT, just to kind of see what happens. But it's like Ravagers, 4 planes, Scourge, and then like a bunch of Cabalites and Venoms and Beast Packs, and it's like actually very silly. So I'm really curious to see how it works. Yeah, well, it's not news. I have this feeling that like because they haven't really given aircraft any sort of any love at all this whole edition for 3 years. They've only taken away their ability to score points. They made them way more expensive than they should be for like a unit that you kind of want to add in. They haven't really adjusted the points of even aircraft that are never being used. So like if they wanted to see some aircraft, you might see the Razorwing Jet Fighter go down to like 140 points instead of like 170 or whatever it is right now. Like you would see some wiggle room, but there's nothing at all. It's just silence, absolute silence. So who knows? I also like the snake list, but fixed challenges might be better playing Vanguard Nids. Yeah. Scar gets matched into a slow melee army, and the list proceeds to commit war crimes. I feel like it would be two bombers is already a lot of damage, but then add in 2 Razorwing Jet Fighters, and now get 4 reroll 1s, so reroll 1s to hit, when they get +1 to hit something that's not fly. So then they're hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, which is like having a pain token on a raid. So you just have pain tokens on all your planes all the time, regardless. And then have Ravagers and Scourge and Beast Packs to block people, and a bunch of just play pieces in like Cabalites and sticky objectives and stuff. Anyway, I am a madman, but I can't wait. Maybe I'll take it to Tacoma. No, I can't. I have to. I think Dan from the Red Dragon would be like, "What are you doing?" It'd be fun though. It'd be fun. But thank you for your list, and hopefully that gives you some food for thought. On to the next one. Baz, the 4th Detachment. Aeldari, Devoted of Inead. So we have the Vizark, Ivrain, an Ynnari Archon, another Ynnari Archon, a Succubus, with the Morbid Might, and then, of course, Borrowed Vigor. We've got 2 units of Cabalites, 10 Witches, 2 units of Incubi, 6 Reavers, 3 times 6. Oh my gosh, 18 Reaver Jet Bikes. Well, that's cool. 3 Void Weavers. Hey, I thought you said only Dark Eldar. You lied. that is a Void. Those are 3 Void Weavers. That is not Dark Eldar. Okay? 0. Zip. Zilch. But yes, I love Void Weavers. I think they're good, especially when you don't have access to Scourge. They're very good. Ynnari Venoms, 5 of them. That's a lot of Venoms. So would this work? Yes. You have anti-tank. You have fast-moving speed. What I would probably do is I'd tweak some of the points here and there, where in order to make the list work, I'd probably run 1 unit of 6 Reavers, so I could run them as a... I'd run 1 unit of Reavers, as a 6 and then run 2 of 3 to have like some move blocking. I would run I don't think you need the 2 units of 5 incubi. I think you could get away with 1 unit of 5 incubi. But then again, you could do 1 of 5 with the Vrain and the Vizark, and then 1 of 5 with an Archon, and then put 1 Archon in with a unit of Cabalites to get like the free grenade strat and just kind of reroll hits and like rerolls and stuff to like go like with like Dark Lances and Blasters and stuff. Then you've got the Witches, which you can split. The second Archon, I think, is a little redundant, to be honest, and I feel like you could just get away with another Succubus, and then put both units of Witches with a Succubus. So you have, like, 2 little fights first. Well, I guess they're Ynnari, so they fights first anyway. So that's kind of pointless. Never mind. So you could have 10 Witches, and then maybe you're putting Yvrain and the Vizark in the Witches, you know what I mean, and doing it that way, right? So there's some options there. And then having that unit on foot, not nearly as survivable as Storm Guardians, with a bunch of Warlocks and stuff, which I think is the best way to run Ynnari. However, I think you could also use some of the points that you kind of mix around to put in a couple of Corsair units. 2 units or 3 units of 5 Corsairs with a Blaster. They have Scout. They're OC2 each, so they give you some extra OC play, but they're nice to get up and kind of play that early trade game. And then if you can, like, make it so that, like, if Rain or whatever you need is within 6 inches of those units as they die early, then you can, like, lethal intent up and stuff like that. Ynnari does not have access to the Beast Pack. Correct. So the Beast Pack would be fantastic. However, it doesn't really pay off in that sense. And then we have the Void Weavers. I think are good. You know, loan up on them is useful. You can kind of focus on like things that get too close to you and stop things from shooting you from really far away. So you can focus on like a close target and make sure it gets eliminated, and then prevent them from getting shot back from stuff that's further away. So very good at like short, medium ranged support, but very protected against long range firepower. You got lots of sticky in here, and deep strike abilities, and lots of play for missions and stuff. And then I would probably, like, in terms of what's Drukhari, like, you could put Rangers in. Like, Rangers, Pathfinders and Rangers go to the Dark City a lot. Like, they travel the universe. So having, like, a unit of Rangers isn't far-fetched for, like, what you're trying to do for theme. The Harlequins isn't far-fetched for the theme either. And then you have, like, an infiltrating unit just to kind of create some space if you need to, like, stop the Poxwalkers from being, like, 9 inches away from your deployment zone. Or, you know, stop the big scouting army of Votan for getting in your face or whatever it is. So just options. Options. And if I'm playing Aeldar, I would never play Aeldar. I don't care how themed it is without running Warp Spiders. I absolutely freaking love Warp Spiders. They are the ultimate mission play unit. Being able to move 24 inches without advancing is insane. Just absolutely insane. So, yeah. Okay. Moving on, but hopefully that gives you some food for thought. Moving on, Bamboo Brains. You have about 20 points to spend. So you've got an Archon, this Sky Splinter. Okay, good old traditional Sky Splinter. 10 Cabs, Court, Venom, Raider. Yep. Archon, Shroud, 10 Incubi, Raider. Interesting. So you're going for the double brick. Lilith with 10 Witches with a Venom. Yeah. Urian, Beastpack, Mandrix, Scourge, Cross. Technically with the extra points, Warlord Archon is getting Spiteful Raider, but not counting it here. Sure. So the Warlord Archon gets Spiteful Raider, which you've got the Court. So let's read what you put here. I would do horrific things for access to Warp Spider-esque unit in Chaos Space Marines, Demons, or Drukhari. What we have isn't the same. I agree. Warp Spiders are insanely good. They're so good. They're just very, very good, right? Okay. I know Reaper's Wager is arguably the better detachment now, but the Court Blob makes my brain happy. Yeah, I just get SSA more for my playstyle. Court Raider deploys, Incubi Raider and Deep Strike for rapid ingress. There's the initial issue, the Court Raider and the Incubi Raider competing for Wraith-like Retreat, but I've been happy with the Court's use more turn 3 to 5. So the theory is Incubi do Wraith-like Retreat shenanigans until dead, and then Court takes over. Originally, I was using Rax as my initial pawn, with Urien to heal them. However, the Rax were regularly getting shot and dying. Yep, I'm thinking of trying Grots instead. Yeah, Grots are more durable than people think. Plus 2 melee gives punch against Space Marine bodies, but it should be 1x3 Grots and 1x5 Rax. Tools have the objective control bomb. Because you're only running 10 Cabalites, like 5 Grots is also 5 Rax is also a great opportunity to put like 10 OC on your home objective and just have 10 OC on it like the whole game, just in case. I've learned from many competitive games that I was sticking my home and then running away and just going to do stuff. And then in the most clutch competitive plays, like in like Linchpin or like Take and Hold, like somebody would just roll a 12 on a charge, would like tag something close to my objective, pile in onto my objective and take it away from me. So I've started adding like 5 racks into my lists, not just for like the initial skirmish play if I need it, but also to just be like, you know what, I'm going to stick you my home, but I'm going to put 10 OC on this. And I'm just going to have 10 OC on here. So you need 11 OC to take me off here. And you can't just randomly get a random, like, charge that then piles in to easily take my home objective, especially if I need to score it for points, right? Diogo, hey, what's up, Diogo? How did the game finish last night? I passed out. I know, it was like 1:30 by the time we finished. It was a great game. Let's just say, Haywire do bad things tonight. Yep, I like it. Kind of went how I expected. Like that's usually how I goes. Like people think Knights is a bad matchup for me. No, it's not. Dark Eldar, I like playing against Knights. Please, please, please give me Knights, please. And for its worth, I know my local meta is going to be going pretty hard on Knights. Thank you for any insight. So what I would say is, if you do end up playing against Knights or stuff like that, you have to deploy this unit. You can't rapid ingress it. Knights move crazy fast. If you go second and you can't put up your screens, the Knights are going to rush you, and then they're going to rush you again, and they're going to be in your face, and you only have these 2 units to do damage, maybe the Court. That's not good. No. So just make sure that against high pressure armies that might come and put pressure on you or really try bully you, you have to deploy this Raider. Now, personally, I think you don't need 10 Incubi. I think 5 Incubi with the Shroud, with a Venom, tends to do about the same as 10, except you have the Venom to bounce in and out. But I have tried, and I do love the full reroll hits and wounds and Lance, right? Big brick of Incubi. That thing hits like a freight train. So it's not bad. Just something to keep in mind there as well. Double B spec though, where have you been all my life? I used to run 3, then I went down to 2, then I went down to 1, and I've been playing with 1 forever, and I've gone back to 2, and I'm like, why haven't I been playing with 2? Yeah, other than that, like, you've got the double Chronos here, which is great. You've got the Grots, like, that's 160 points with the Grots. It's 210 points. Like, to be honest, I would probably drop the Chronos and 2 units of Grots and put 2 Ravagers in, and then have 30 points left over, which then you could use for something else. Like, I really think Ravagers are money right now. They're very good. But just some food for thought. Some food for thought, Bamboo Brains. Hopefully that gives you something to think about. As we move on to the next list, which is Grishnak. Tournament Aeldari Wind Rider Host, which when you read Wind Rider Host, it should really say absolutely incredible amount of damage host. Because it's so dumb. I played a list that Tebow, one of Bolotake, one of my long-standing patrons, friends, and coaching clients that I've been working with and chatting with for years, and one of the founders of the Glory Hogs, which is like a lot of people use the FTC base that they made for TTS. But it is. I played a list that was 80, no, 60. I was doing an awakened list based on like his recommendation, which was 60 or 80 Necron warriors. So many Necron warriors with like two reanimators, two ghost arcs, a bunch of characters in the units, and it was like very, very silly. Very silly, having a lot of fun. And I tested it into Wind Rider host, and the Wind Rider host proceeded to table me in like 3 turns. And I was like, ouch. So I have seen firsthand how much damage Wind Rider hosts can do, but they don't survive a punch. They hit really hard, but they die so fast. But they're like the epitome of like just massive amounts of concentrated damage, and then they die. Yeah. So Eldrad is excellent. +1 to wound is good. Farseer Skyrunner with the strike. Janezar and Lycus. Lycus is very useful in this list to get the sustained crits on 5s, right? Like you just crits on 5s, which then helps like pretty much everything else. So you can really focus on something, which is cool. You've got the Storm Guardians for sticky. You've got 2 units of big Wind Riders and 4 units of small. I think I would honestly put one of these into, I'd pick 3 bigs. I think you need 3 bigs for the right amount of damage, to be honest. And I do 2 cannons, one scatter laser. That's like, that would be like my perfect chef's kiss number of jet bikes. Jess Keys says, I've been playing MSU Votan. I know to use Berserk Indirect to pick off Scourge and keep an eye out to get bikes into Venoms. Any pointers? I've been having a rough time with this matchup. Into Dark Eldar? Yes. Yeah, absolutely tell you how to beat Dark Eldar in a second. So we've got Fire Dragons. Yep, Howling Banshees, Rangers, good. Couple of Shroud Runners. Very, very, very important unit in this matchup. I don't think you need 2 units. I think you can get away with 1, because normally what you're doing is focusing multiple bike units on 1 unit and just making sure it's dead. So I don't think you need 2 Shroud Runners. Scorpions are great. A Warwalker is excellent. The extra AP that you get from a Warwalker combined with the ignore cover from the Shroud Runners or the Warlock Sky Runners inside of the Wind Rider jet bikes, like you can have both. It's very good. So what I would personally want to see is 2 Warwalkers, 1 Shroud Runner. So you could go ignore cover with Shroud Runners, and then put Warwalkers on 2 separate units, and then go, I've got these units, so I've got a couple of units of Wind Riders that don't ignore cover that are going to shoot the one that the Shroud Runners did, and then I've got some that do ignore cover thanks to the Sky Runners to like, you know, so you can mix and match your damage output, maybe go after 2 targets, but it makes you a little bit more efficient. And then, of course, you can have extra Bright Lances for some anti-tank with the Warwalkers, basically. And then a unit of Warp Spiders. Amazing. So the Farseer Skyrunner and Warlock Skyrunner are going to join one set of Wind Riders. Another Warlock will join the other. There will be almost 1,000 points in reserve until my turn in the first round to kill as much as possible. The little Wind Rider units and Sky Runners will be used to score secondaries. Fixed secondaries behind enemy line established locus. Yeah, fixed is quite good. I think fixed is something you can do right now with the new with the new missions, because then you can capitalize on getting those challenger cards, which I think could be really useful. I will say though that you don't have to put stuff in reserve. Like, yes, you can come in like 1 turn early or whatever, but like you have uppy downy, so like just keep stuff on the board and uppy downy it if you need it. You know what I mean? Like, it's at least you don't have to put that much in reserve. Like, having some stuff in reserve is good, but you don't have to put it as much as you think. However, if you can't hide anything, because it's like layout 3 Games Workshop on Dawn of War, which is what they made us play 3 times at Edmonton. And by the way, if you haven't gone to, just go into TTS. Do me a favor, go into TTS. Okay, this is one of Scari's rants. Okay. This just in. Games Workshop chose violence. I don't know. I think it was Justin Curtis, the head judge, that picked the missions or something. I don't know. All I know is it's insane. What were you thinking, bro? What are you thinking? Like, Mike Brandt and the whole crew love torturing us as players. But go to TTS and open Dawn of War, right? Or Sweeping Engagement and Layout 3. Not Layout 5, which is the other one that's designed for that deployment, layout 3, and tell me if you played on that map, how much of your army would you be able to hide? First, why Dawn of War, says Dorian. Why Dawn of War? 12 inches up the board? That's 22 inches. That means there's 20 inches in between the two deployments. I went first all 3 of those games, luckily. Except for one. Except for one. Yeah, except for my first one. I went second. And my beast pack was touching my opponent's board edge, back board edge, after first turn. Oh my gosh. Anyway, just do me a favor. After you watch this video, open TTS and look at Layout 3, Dawn of War. Oh my gosh. That's like Layout 2, Hammer and Anvil. Yes, it's like Layout 2, Hammer and Anvil. It is terrible. Okay. Anyway, but what I'm saying is if you can't hide your whole army, you always have to try null deploy. You have to have options. Whereas if you can't hide your army, you put a lot of it in reserve, or you can scout it up or infiltrate it into positions where you can hide your army from a fast-moving army that can get angles on you, like Tau, or a guard that can advance and shoot, or things like that as well, right? So it's just very important to keep your options open. Yeah, the beast pack just runs in. Doesn't even have to charge. It just goes straight in. It was insane. I liked it because it worked for me, and my entire army hides on that layout. Just so you understand how small of a footprint I can make my army take. And one of the reasons I only take like 3 Venoms or 1 Raider or 1 Ravager is because I can hide my army on that layout and other layouts. Like, I like hiding my army. So if you go first, you can do nothing. Anyway. Except move block me and then have 1 Poxwalker survive that ties up Lilith. And that was my game on Tuesday. It just shivers down the spine. But yeah. Okay, on to your question, Jess. You said, so as for playing Votann, the thing about playing against Dark Eldar with Votann is like, and you can see this, like I played on stream in Vegas at the Games Workshop, on the Games Workshop stream against Votann on round 6? Was it round 6? It was like the last round of day 2. And I played against, I think, one of the top Votann players in the world. And he he went first, then he was very passive in his first turn, and then I did my first turn, and I did Eldar things, and he quickly realized that if he was going to play passive, he was going to lose the game, because I can out-passive what he was doing. And I know Berserkers are great to kill up Scourge and stuff, especially if they have a token, you can give them sustains and a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's not super reliable, but it's something that you can do. So, he decided to get aggressive, and that was the right choice. He like rushed at me and sort of forced me to deal with his whole army at once. If you let me as an elf pick and choose what I want to fight, I will pick the best thing, I will kill it, and you won't be able to retaliate effectively because I'll move outside of a wall, shoot you, go back behind a wall, and it's just very tough for you to do that. Another thing is, keep your bikes alive. The bikes are probably the best tool into elves of all sorts. So keep those bikes alive. Keep them in the back. Keep them uppy downy. Like, just remove them from the table. Keep one in your back pocket. Like, keep those bikes alive. And it will make any elf's life miserable. And don't be afraid to use your Jaegirs to like move block the beast pack or whatever if you want. But don't be afraid to like lose models. You're going to lose models, but get involved in the game. Don't try and hide too much because then you're just going to lose, right? You have to force the elves to come out and play. That's my thought process. Moving on, we have Dr. Nick. By the way, thank you so much for hanging out. If for anybody who doesn't know, I'm Skari. I do lots of content. I coach Warhammer 40k. I do video battle reports. I work with Mini Wargaming, and I'm an Art of War coach. I'm currently in top 20 of the ITC for the entire world, the planet, and I love to teach Warhammer. The Patron community is what drives what I do. So if you'd like to support me on Patreon, the link is in the description. Also, YouTube memberships are really cool. And all the stuff that I post for them, I repost for YouTube members as well, as much as I can. Yes. Okay, let's do this. On to Dr. Nick's list. So this is AdMech. AdMech, interesting. So you've got the Hunter cohort. I love Hunter cohort. I played it for a whole league, and I had a ton of fun playing it. It did way more damage. No problem, Jess. Way more damage than I thought it would. And then it came down, like I lost a clutch game into Sean and his Death Watch. That was what the match. I wish I would have recorded that game. That game was insane. It came down to some really clutch moves, and he just flipped the game on me. And he was just able to solidify his win. He went on to win the league, and then he went on to get third place at the Ontario League Invitational. So congratulations to him. He's done so much work with his Death Watch. He's been putting his head down. Him and I had some, I coached him for a little bit as well. And he's a great sport, and he's just a good player. It's nice to see him doing well. But, AdMech-wise, Marshall with the uplink, yep. Marshall with the infiltrator, yep. Techno archaeologist. I'm assuming that's still the 12-inch deep strike denial bubble. Very useful in today's meta. If Dark Eldar could have access to a 12-inch denial bubble, I would take it in a heartbeat. Now, my list was not optimized when I ran my Hunter Cater. I only had one Marshal because I only had one model, and then I ran the crazy Stilt Sniper, which with a thing stuck up his butt. Yeah, like that. I ran that. It was fun. But I wish I would have had two Marshals, right? Yeah, they're very good. 10 Rangers, 10 Rangers, 10 Vanguard, 10 Vanguard, 10 Vanguard. I don't think you need this many battle line, to be honest. I think you can get away with 1 Rangers and 2 Vanguard. Like, just from telling you from experience, I didn't feel I needed more. Yeah. 2 Dune Riders. I love the double Dune Rider. 2 is perfect. You know, for the 2 Vanguard units, essentially. Yeah, I do the 2 Vanguard units with that for sure. Skystalkers of 5, 10 Sterilizers, Infiltrators, and then 10 Stalkers. So Infiltrators, excellent. Skystalkers, I ran 2 units of 5. Sterilizers I didn't own, but I do like the big brick of Sterilizers, especially with the +1 to wound strat and like a variety of things. Like, these things are quite insane. Like, they're very hard to play with, though. Their wingspan is stupid. Like, I see Siegler or like people play like 30 to 40 of these things. I'm like, how? How do you hide them? How do you put them behind a wall or a building without overlapping and having all the bases not flat on the ground? It's like, it's impossible. These things are just crazy. The wingspan is like 4 inches, like, for each model or more. Like, how? Like, how do you find a way to overlap? They're so pointy. How do you stop them from interacting with floors and, like, I don't know. I have no idea. So I only ran 2 units of 5. Infiltrators are great. The Rustalkers are great with their, I think they have built-in precision. These things, by the way, absolute money. These Scorpius Disintegrators. And you got the Dragoons, which are fine with the Tase Lances. I will tell you, I absolutely loved the Honor Doom Crawlers with the Phosphor Blasters. And I would have run 3 if I could. I only had 2, but I would run 3 if I could. Those things are amazing. The amount of shots they get is so good. So 3 of these and 2 Doom Crawlers, or 3 and 3, is like, is amazing. It's so good. Yeah, I highly, highly recommend it. I don't even care about the Taser Lancers. They're cool, but not as cool as Honor Doom Crawlers, man. Those things are so freaking good. And they're tough as nails. And they make all your infantry nearby have a 4-up invul or battle line. And it's just good. And I really enjoyed it. But overall, this is you should not underestimate this list. I would take away some of this chaff. I don't think you need this much chaff. And focus more on killing power. Like Honor Doom Crawlers. I do like this, though. Is like, I kind of like that as a countercharge push. That's neat. I don't mind it. It's like cheap enough that it's not bad. Sorry, I have to jump to work. Send you pictures of my old hammer on Discord. Yep, absolutely. Please do. I'd love to borrow some. Prankster, really nice to see you, my friend. I'll catch you on the flip side. I think the Incubi have their place. Incubi definitely have their place. Incubi, like in Dark Eldar, absolutely have a place. I love Lilith Witches more than Archeon. Incubi, lost Eldar opponent will remember how it obliterated Spider Pack with Lycus. Yeah. Witches are great into toughness 3 stuff. You know, infantry. They're fine. Incubi are very good at just finishing the harder jobs. And I'm so happy they allowed us to put Archon with the Incubi. I have no idea why that wasn't a thing from the index. Like, an Archon and Incubi, that's just like, they're his bodyguard. Like, how is that not a thing when they start? Like, I don't get it. Okay. But thank you for the list. I hope that gave you some food for thought, Dr. Nick. And, you know, hopefully you can try it out and test it. By the way, we do a Denizen TTS league for the patrons. Just so you know, I have 2 leagues running right now that just started their second phase, or their second round. We have 2 pods of 16 players that are playing 4 rounds. Where sign-ups for the 3rd pod have opened. If you want to participate, be a supporting patron of any level from Urgle to Incubi, and then hop into the Discord and post in the TTS league chat, and I'll add you. Where there's 8 spots left in the 3rd round, in the 3rd pod. As soon as the next pod fills up, I will start it, and it goes for 8 weeks. 8 weeks. You can change your list between rounds if you lose. There's an option to change lists as well if there's a big list change or point changes. So you're not stuck with the same list. 1 game every 2 weeks. If you want to be a part of the Denizen League, hop on and we run those. I'm going to basically be running them very frequently as we go, just as a constant thing for all of the patrons that want to get some games in as well. Dark Despair says, highly recommend quality games with quality people. And that's the whole point. People pay to be there, so you get good people. You know what I mean? Like, it filters out the riffraff. Even though I guess I'm riffraff. So do I count? Also, the Crusade League. If you like Crusade, Meadows is running a fantastic Nachman Gauntlet Crusade using a lot of the Goonhammer-like stuff. And it has been an absolute blast. So thank you so much for Meadows for running the Crusade League. I'm in a team with Don Hooson, the Death Guard Master himself, which is really exciting. It's awesome. I really enjoy our little community that we've built. It's really fun. Thank you for making it possible, everyone. Witches with Succubus, Webway Walker, Rapid Ingress Threat, Sustained Lethal, Pain Token, Cheap, can't put Webway on Lilith, having success with it. Yeah, Rostamo, like, I had a lot of success with the 10 Witches and a Succubus in a Reaper's Wager list before reroll ones to hit was a thing. And I just put it Arc Raider on a Raider, and she would just yeet forward with Arc Raider and go and cause havoc, which was really fun. But right now I've been using my Rapid Ingress mainly on a big brick of Hellions to go and just, like, go and kill something, or just get onto an objective and harass the enemy for a turn or 2, and it's been working great. Moving on to the next list. Harborn. Shadow Legion. Nice. So we have, Shadow Legion, still one of the coolest demon detachments. I love that you can mix Chaos, Space Marines, and demons in one thing. I think it's very, very cool, and I really like it. So you have Be'lakor with a Bloodthirster with Fate to Darkness. Still one of the stupidest OP, like, combination. I have no idea why this is a thing. It's very cool, though. He's like, murder, leave, come down again, murder, leave. It's so dumb. Great Unclean One with the Leaping Shadows, the Scout. I always find it hilarious that a Great Unclean One can scout forward. It just, I can't stop thinking in my head, it's like a roly-poly. You know, he's like, oh, ho, ho, and he, like, trips, and, like, he, like, rolls over. He's like, whoa, and he's, like, 6 inches beyond the deployment zone. Anyway, this just makes me laugh every time. 2 units of Nurglings. Infiltrate is very, very strong. If you can take Infiltrate in your list anywhere, I highly, highly recommend it. Like, highly recommend it. A Beast, a Nurgle, a couple of Screamer units. I'm assuming those are big Screamer units. We have a Chaos Lord with the Mantle of Gloom. Two Cultist mobs, which are very powerful in Shadow Legion. Uppy, downy, sticky, rapid ingress like Cultist mobs is very good. Unit of Havocs with Last Cannons, Unit of Havocs with Last Cannons. That's pretty standard for some anti-tank I've seen. I don't think you need both of them. I think you can get away with one, right? Like one just to crack open a Rhino. And then a unit of Legionnaires, which of course can go with the Chaos Lord and make him just a little bit chunkier, beefier, hits better. You know, gets all the rerolls, all that good stuff as well. It only works when you don't roll ones on the Thirster. Rolled 4 out of 7 attacks as ones last night. Says, yeah, that's true. I guess you could also, like, you know, do the whole, like, try and do a bunch of mortal wounds to finish off a unit before you run away. Is that possible? And then the Bloodthirster is going to be hilarious in the night meta. Oh, yeah. He's just going to go up and be like, one night. You're next. Like, it's going to be very good in that night meta. In my opinion, I think he'd be very good. Unless he rolls, as Harvey said, a lot of ones, which happens. You know, it is what it is. That's when you try and get, like, when you, like, commit him to something like that, you try and get Be'lakor in there with the reroll ones to hit, just to make sure. I think the biggest thing that can trap the Bloodthirster is, like, a heroic intervention with, like, a tough unit. You know, that so they're trying to kill this one unit, and then this other unit kind of gets involved, and you're like, get off me, you know? So, I love to hear the scouting Great Unclean one in that list works. I have a Great Unclean with a -1 OC enhancement, put the 9-inch scout on the ACDC. Scouting ACDC synth are very good. They're just very good. You will need the Lance strat to avenge more than 26 wounds, to average more than 26 wounds. The fact that Knights have 28 wounds on like a Lancer with a 4-up invul and a Feel No Pain, like they're tougher than they seem. But the toughness 11 has made a humongous difference. Like I find that the toughness 11, like all my Dark Lords were wounding on 3s last night against big Knights. I noticed that difference right away. I was like, oh, I rolled a 4 and a 3. That's 2 saves, please. You know, like it just felt great. The scout worked well last night on the Great Unclean one on the offside objective. Yeah, exactly. You just scout him up, just kind of lumbers over, and then he sits on objective. I'm as big as the objective. You'll not kill the Lancer, but the others should be fair game. Yeah, the Lancer should survive. Lancers are very good. Great Unclean being able to take a point turn 1 is good. Oh yeah, just be like, how are you going to deal with it? Well, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in. That has been The Weekly Show, Season 3, Episode 30. Of course, I do this show every week for patrons when I do the show. I think there's a show next week before I head over to Ottawa for the Team Canada practice weekend. So make sure you stay tuned in the Discord for the threads. Every once in a while, I open it up to the public like yourselves. Thanks a lot for leaving a like, commenting, sharing, and a huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom, and the members, without whom I couldn't do any of this. So thank you so much for hanging out and being a part of this community. You're all amazing. I will see you in Tacoma in a couple of weeks if you're going to be there. And of course, stay tuned. We've got a battle report coming up next week, as well as a variety of different things. It's going to be Canada Day as well. So have a good one, everybody, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks a lot, everybody. Love you all. The Dark Kin. Scary out. Bye.